The alarm screamed across Research Station Theta 7, and Hyunwoo's crystalline body shimmered with irritation. For 200 years he had worked as a scientist, and for 200 years he had learned to hate false alarms. His 6 limbs moved across the control panel with practiced efficiency as he prepared to silence another meaningless sensor glitch. But the numbers didn't make sense. Day. "Come look at this," Hyunwoo called to his assistant. The young Nexaran hurried over, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly as he studied the readings. "That's impossible," Day whispered. Hyunwoo agreed. According to every law of physics that the Galactic Coalition understood, the readings on his screen could not exist. Something was moving through space at faster than light speeds. That part wasn't strange. Thousands of ships traveled at FTL every day. What made this impossible was how it moved. Every spacefaring species in the galaxy used dimensional gates for FTL travel. These gates required biological neural interfaces. Living brains connected directly to the ship's navigation systems. It was the only way that worked, the only way that had ever worked in 50,000 years of galactic civilization. But this ship, this impossible signal, wasn't using any gate at all. "Run a full diagnostic," Hyunwoo ordered. "Check every sensor. This has to be a malfunction." Day worked quickly, his fingers dancing across the controls. Minutes passed, then an hour. Finally, the young technician looked up with wide eyes. "Sir, the sensors are working perfectly, and I'm detecting the same signal from 3 other research stations. They're all asking us if we see it too." Hyunwoo felt something he hadn't experienced in decades, genuine surprise. If multiple stations detected the same anomaly, it wasn't a malfunction. It was real. Something was out there, moving through space in a way that shouldn't be possible. The door to the research lab hissed open. Ji-won strode in, her 4 eyes narrowed with suspicion. As the station's military liaison, the Threxian warrior took security seriously. "I received your emergency transmission," she said. "What's the situation?" "We've detected an unknown vessel," Hyunwoo explained, gesturing to the screen. "It's traveling at FTL speeds without using dimensional gates." Ji-won studied the data for a moment, then snorted. "Sensor malfunction, obviously." "Multiple stations have confirmed the readings," Day offered hesitantly. "Then it's a coordinated malfunction," Ji-won replied. "Or pirates using jamming technology. Either way, it's not my concern unless it enters Coalition space." She turned to leave. "Wait," Hyunwoo said. "Look at the trajectory calculations. If this vessel maintains its current course and speed, it will pass directly through the Tertian trade route in 72 hours. Thousands of civilian ships use that route every day." Ji-won paused. Her military training warred with her skepticism. Finally, she sighed. "I'll report it to High Command. But don't expect them to waste resources chasing sensor ghosts." After she left, Hyunwoo returned to his calculations. The mysterious vessel was approaching from outside the galactic rim, from the dark regions where no civilization existed. Its speed was consistent, its course unwavering. Whatever it was, it knew exactly where it was going. "Sir, I managed to enhance the long-range scanner," Day said excitedly. "I got a visual. It's grainy, but you can see something." Hyunwoo leaned closer to the screen. The image was poor quality, distorted by distance and interference. But there was definitely something there. A shape, angular, metallic, completely unlike any ship design he had ever seen. "Save that image," Hyunwoo ordered, "and keep tracking the vessel. I want to know everything about it." Over the next day, Hyunwoo became obsessed. He barely slept, barely ate. He ran calculation after calculation, building a profile of the mysterious ship. Its energy signature was wrong. Its propulsion method was wrong. Everything about it violated established scientific principles, and High Command didn't care. The official response came through on a priority channel. Military Commander Bora's face appeared on the screen, her expression stern. "Research Director Hyunwoo, your report regarding the alleged unknown vessel has been reviewed and dismissed. Our analysts conclude that you have detected a natural spatial anomaly, possibly a quantum fluctuation in the dark matter between stars. No military action will be taken. Focus your efforts on your assigned research projects." The transmission ended. Hyunwoo stared at the blank screen in disbelief. A quantum fluctuation? Did they even read his report? Quantum fluctuations didn't maintain steady courses. They didn't emit regular energy pulses. They didn't have metallic hulls visible on long-range scanners. They're not going to investigate, are they? Day asked quietly. No, Hyunwoo said. They're not. The young technician was silent for a moment. Then he spoke carefully. The station has personal transport pods, small ships for emergency evacuations. We could take one, intercept the vessel ourselves. Hyunwoo looked at his assistant in surprise. That would be a violation of protocol. We could lose our positions. Possibly face criminal charges, I know, Day said. But what if that ship is real? What if it's hostile? What if thousands of civilians die because we were too afraid to break protocol? The crystalline scientist considered this. Everything in his logical mind told him to follow orders, to trust in the system. But something deeper, something more fundamental, pushed him toward action. In 200 years of scientific work, he had never encountered anything that truly challenged his understanding of the universe. This ship did. This impossible, wonderful, terrifying ship. Prepare a transport pod, Hyunwoo said. We launch in 2 hours. They worked quickly and quietly. Day loaded supplies and equipment while Hyunwoo filed false maintenance reports to cover their absence. Jiwon was on the other side of the station, occupied with a training exercise. By the time anyone realized what they had done, they would be too far away to stop. The transport pod was small, designed for short-range travel only. But it had enough fuel to reach the intercept coordinates Hyunwoo had calculated. They would drift in space with minimal power, waiting for the mysterious vessel to pass by. If it was hostile, they would die. If it was friendly, they would make history. All systems ready, Day reported as they settled into the pod. Sir, are you sure about this? Hyunwoo activated the launch sequence. No, but I'm doing it anyway. The pod launched from the station, its small engine pushing them toward deep space. Behind them, research station Theta 7 grew smaller and smaller, until it was just another point of light among millions. Ahead of them lay only darkness. For 18 hours, they traveled in silence. Hyunwoo monitored the sensors while Day tried to rest. The mysterious ship was still approaching, still maintaining its impossible course and speed. Then, with no warning, the sensors erupted with activity. It's here, Dee shouted, rushing to the controls. The ship just dropped out of FTL. On the view screen, space itself seemed to tear open. But there was no dimensional gate, no energy tunnel, no neural interface signature. The mysterious vessel simply appeared, transitioning from faster-than-light to normal space in an instant. The physics of such a maneuver should have torn the ship apart. But there it was. Real. Solid. Impossible. The ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of a standard coalition cruiser. Its hull was smooth and dark, marked with strange symbols. Angular wings extended from a central body, and blue light pulsed along its surface in patterns that suggested active technology. It's beautiful, Day whispered. Then the ship changed course. Directly toward them, Hyunwoo's hands trembled as he watched the impossible vessel approach. They had no weapons, no shields, no way to escape. All they could do was wait and hope that whoever, or whatever, was inside that ship had peaceful intentions. A communication signal pinged their console. Hyunwoo activated it with shaking limbs. Unknown research vessel, a voice said in perfectly accented coalition standard language. This is Captain Tae-hyun of the United Earth Space Navy ship Wanderer. We detected your presence. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. Earth. United Earth Space Navy. The words meant nothing to Hyunwoo. No planet called Earth existed in any coalition database. No species had ever identified themselves as being from Earth, but the ship was real. The signal was real, and somehow, impossibly, the galaxy had just become much larger than anyone had imagined. Hyunwoo took a deep breath and opened a return channel. This is Research Director Hyunwoo of Coalition Station Theta 7. Captain Tae-hyun, I have one question. What are you? The response came with what sounded like amusement. We're human, and we've been looking for you for a very long time. The human ship called Wanderer hung in space like a predator studying its prey. Hyunwoo had dealt with hundreds of species during his career, but he had never felt this particular mixture of fear and excitement. These humans, whoever they were, possessed technology that shouldn't exist. That made them either the greatest scientific discovery in galactic history or the most dangerous threat the Coalition had ever faced. Probably both. Captain Tae-hyun, Hyunwoo said carefully, your vessel's propulsion system violates every known law of physics. How is this possible? The communication channel crackled with what sounded like laughter. I could ask you the same thing about your dimensional gates. From our perspective, linking organic brains directly to spatial manipulation fields seems impossible. Different species, different solutions. Day leaned closer to the microphone. You've been observing us? For how long? A pause. Then a different voice came through. Female, precise, scientific. This is Dr. Yuna, Chief Science Officer of the Wanderer. We've been monitoring Coalition transmissions for approximately 20 years as we approached from the Galactic Rim. We learned your languages, studied your cultures, and prepared for this moment. We wanted to ensure peaceful contact. 20 years. Hyunwoo's mind raced. That meant these humans had been listening, learning, preparing, all while remaining completely undetected. Their technology was even more advanced than he had initially believed. Captain Tae-hyun, Hyunwoo said. I must ask, what are your intentions? Why have you come to Coalition space? Honestly? The human captain's voice carried a note of weariness. We're explorers. We came from a region of the galaxy that your ships can't reach, a sector beyond a dark matter nebula. For our entire history, we thought we were alone in the universe. Then we detected your signals. We had to know. We had to see if others existed. Something in the captain's voice rang true. Hyunwoo had interrogated enough people to recognize honesty when he heard it. These humans weren't invaders. They were simply curious, like him. I believe you, Hyunwoo said. But I'm not the one you need to convince. The Coalition has protocols for first contact situations. If you truly come in peace, you'll need to submit to diplomatic procedures. We expected that, Captain Tae-hyun replied. We're prepared to cooperate fully. However, we do have one request. Your Coalition uses biological neural interfacing for navigation. Our ship's systems are incompatible with that technology. We'll need to maintain our own navigation control. That would be a problem. Coalition security protocols required all visiting ships to use Coalition navigation systems while in protected space. It prevented hostile vessels from making surprise attacks or escapes. But if the human ship literally couldn't interface with Coalition systems, an exception would be necessary. Before Hyunwoo could respond, Dae grabbed his arm. Sir, I'm detecting multiple energy signatures. Coalition military vessels incoming fast. Hyunwoo checked the sensors and cursed in 3 languages. Jiwon had found them. The military liaison was approaching with a full patrol squadron, 6 heavy cruisers, weapons armed and shields raised. Captain Tae-hyun, Hyunwoo said urgently, we have a situation. Coalition military forces are about to arrive. They may view you as hostile. Please do not make any aggressive moves. Understood, the captain replied calmly. We'll hold position and keep our weapons offline. Dr. Yuna, broadcast our peaceful intentions on all frequencies. The Coalition squadron dropped out of FTL travel in a standard combat formation, surrounding the human ship. Jiwon's face appeared on Hyunwoo's communication screen, her expression furious. Research Director Hyunwoo, you have violated protocol by leaving your assigned station without authorization, she said coldly. More importantly, you have made unauthorized contact with an unidentified vessel. Stand by for extraction. Jiwon, wait, Hyunwoo pleaded. The ship is real. The occupants are peaceful. They're a new species seeking diplomatic contact. That's not your determination to make, Jiwon snapped. Then her eyes shifted to something off-screen. What in the void is that ship doing? Hyunwoo checked his sensors. The Wanderer wasn't doing anything threatening. It simply floated there, completely still. But he understood Jiwon's confusion. Coalition sensors couldn't properly read the human ship. Its energy signature was all wrong. Its hull composition was unknown. From a military perspective, it was a black box full of unknowns, and military commanders hated unknowns. Unknown vessel, Jiwon broadcast on an open channel. This is military liaison Jiwon of the Galactic Coalition. You have entered restricted space. Power down all systems and prepare to be boarded or you will be fired upon. Hyunwoo held his breath. If the humans ran, It would confirm every suspicion that they were hostile. If they fought, dozens of people would die. Their only hope was cooperation. Coalition vessels. Captain Taehyun's voice came through clearly. This is the UESN Wanderer. We are powering down weapon systems now. We will not resist boarding. However, I must inform you that our life support and navigation systems are integrated into our ship's core computer. We cannot shut them down without risking the lives of our crew. I hope this is acceptable. Jiwon was silent for a moment. Hyunwoo could almost hear her thinking, weighing options, calculating risks. Finally, she responded. Maintain current configuration. A boarding team will arrive shortly. Any hostile action will result in immediate destruction. Do you understand? We understand completely, Captain Taehyun said. We welcome you aboard. The next hour was tense. Hyunwoo and Dae were brought aboard Jiwon's flagship and held in a secure room while military specialists examined the human ship. Through the viewport, Hyunwoo could see the Wanderer surrounded by coalition vessels looking small and vulnerable despite its size. Finally, Jiwon entered the room. Her expression was complicated, confused, suspicious, but also intrigued. They're real, she said quietly. The boarding team confirmed it. Biological life forms, oxygen-breathing, carbon-based. They call themselves humans. They come from a planet called Earth. She paused. And their technology is beyond anything we've ever encountered. I tried to tell you, Hyunwoo said. Jiwon shot him a sharp look. You broke protocol. There will be consequences. Then her expression softened slightly. But you may have also made the most important discovery in coalition history. High Command is sending a diplomatic team. The humans in their ship will be escorted to Coalition Central Station. And us? Dae asked nervously. You'll come too, Jiwon said. You made first contact. The Council will want to question you extensively. Over the next several days, the small fleet traveled through Coalition space toward the capital. Hyunwoo was allowed limited communication with the human crew. He learned that there were 47 people aboard the Wanderer, scientists, engineers, diplomats, and military personnel. All of them had volunteered for a one-way journey into the unknown. Dr. Yuna became his primary contact. The human scientist was endlessly curious, asking thousands of questions about coalition species, technology, and culture. In return, she shared information about Earth and humanity. We nearly destroyed ourselves, she admitted during one conversation. About 200 years ago, our civilization was on the brink of collapse. Wars, environmental damage, social breakdown. We almost didn't make it. But we survived, barely. And that experience taught us to be careful, to think long-term, to value peace over conquest. Is that why you approached so cautiously? Hyunwoo asked. Yes, we were terrified that we'd encounter a hostile civilization. We prepared for every possibility, diplomacy, trade, even war if necessary. But more than anything, we hoped for friendship. Hyunwoo found himself liking these humans. They were honest, curious, and humble despite their technological superiority. They reminded him of why he had become a scientist in the first place, the pure joy of discovery and learning. But as Coalition Central Station grew larger on the view screen, Hyunwoo felt a growing sense of dread. The coalition was old, set in its ways, bound by tradition and bureaucracy. Many species would see humans as a threat rather than an opportunity. Some would refuse to believe they even existed. The Wanderer dropped out of FTL travel near the massive station. Thousands of ships filled the space around it. Traders, diplomats, military vessels, all representing the 47 species of the coalition. Captain Taehyun, Hyunwoo transmitted. Welcome to Coalition Central. I hope you're ready for this. The captain's response was quiet but determined. We've come this far. No turning back now. As the human ship was guided into a secure docking bay, surrounded by guards and sensors and suspicion, Hyunwoo wondered if the galaxy was ready for humanity. More importantly, he wondered if humanity was ready for the galaxy. The council chamber was the largest room Hyunwoo had ever seen. Representatives from 47 species sat in a massive circle, each delegation positioned according to ancient tradition. At the center stood Captain Tae-hyun, Dr. Yuna, and two other humans, diplomat Hana and engineer Minsu. They looked small and vulnerable under the harsh lights and suspicious gazes. Speaker Minho. The Krelva who led the council was 800 years old and looked every day of it. His ancient body was covered in ceremonial robes that couldn't hide his hostility. Captain Tae-hyun, he said, his voice like grinding stones, you claim to represent a species that has no record in our archives, from a planet that appears on no star charts, using technology that our scientists say cannot exist. Do you understand why we find this difficult to accept? Captain Tae-hyun stood straight, his voice calm and respectful. I understand completely, Speaker Minho. If our situations were reversed, I would have the same doubts. That's why we've offered to submit to any tests, any examinations, any verification processes you deem necessary. Tests can be faked, Ambassador Soman interjected. The Pelvorian was one of the more moderate council members, but even her voice carried skepticism. Technology can create illusions. How do we know you're not actors trained by a rival coalition faction seeking political advantage? Dr. Yuna stepped forward. With respect, Ambassador, we've provided DNA samples, medical scans, and detailed biological data. Our genetic code is completely unique. We share no evolutionary history with any coalition species. Which is exactly what makes you suspicious, Intelligence Director Jihoon said coldly. The Vrelian was Hyunwoo's former mentor, which made his harsh tone especially painful. Evolution follows patterns. Life develops along predictable paths, yet you claim to have emerged from complete isolation with no connection to the galactic biological framework? Impossible. Hyunwoo couldn't stay silent anymore. He stood from his position in the observer section. Director Jihoon, I was the first coalition citizen to make contact with the humans. I've examined their ship, studied their technology, and spoken with their crew extensively. They are real. This is not a deception. Jihoon turned his crystalline body toward Hyunwoo. You've been compromised. Your judgment is contaminated by exposure to whatever psychological manipulation these beings are using. That's absurd, Hyunwoo protested. Enough. Speaker Minho's voice cut through the argument. Research Director Hyunwoo, you are not authorized to speak in these proceedings. Another outburst will result in your removal. He turned back to the human delegation. As for you, Captain, the Council requires time to deliberate. You and your crew will remain in secure quarters until we reach a decision. How long will that take? Captain Tae-hyun asked. Speaker Minho's expression was unreadable. As long as necessary. The human delegation was escorted from the chamber by armed guards. As they left, Hyunwoo saw Diplomat Hana's face. She looked exhausted and worried, but not defeated. These humans were tougher than they appeared. Over the following weeks, the situation deteriorated. Scientists examined every centimeter of the Wanderer, but couldn't understand its propulsion system. The quantum field manipulation that powered the ship required computational abilities far beyond what organic brains could achieve. Coalition scientists insisted it was impossible. When forced to acknowledge that the ship clearly existed, they suggested it was controlled by artificial intelligence, which was illegal under coalition law. Meanwhile, conspiracy theories spread through the galactic data network like disease. Some species claimed humans were biological weapons created by the ancient enemy that the coalition had defeated thousands of years ago. Others insisted the entire thing was a political hoax designed to destabilize the government. Riots broke out on several planets. Human crew members were attacked when they ventured outside their quarters. Hyunwoo spent his days trying to advocate for the humans, but few would listen. Even Dae, his loyal assistant, was reassigned to prevent further contamination. Only Jiwon seemed to take his concerns seriously. I don't like this, the military liaison admitted during a private conversation. I've spent my entire career preparing for hostile first contact situations. The humans don't fit any hostile profile. They're cooperative, honest, and genuinely peaceful, but the council won't hear it. Speaker Minho is driving the opposition, Hyunwoo said bitterly. He sees humans as a threat to his political power. If humanity is real, it proves that the coalition doesn't know everything. That undermines his authority. Jiwon nodded slowly. There's talk of destroying the Wanderer. Minho has convinced several species that it's a security risk. They can't, Hyunwoo protested. That would be murder. 47 innocent people. Unless they're not people, Jiwon said quietly. That's the argument. If humans are artificial constructs or biological weapons, destroying them isn't murder. It's self-defense. Hyunwoo felt sick. He had dedicated his life to science, to the pursuit of knowledge and truth. The idea that ignorance and fear could triumph over evidence was unbearable. Then everything changed. A signal activated from the galactic core, an area of space that had been silent for 10,000 years. The energy signature was identical to the quantum field manipulation used by the Wanderer. Something ancient and powerful had detected humanity's presence and responded. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted over each other, demanding explanations. Speaker Minho's face had gone pale. Even the most skeptical council members couldn't deny what the sensors were showing. Captain Tae-hyun was brought back to the chamber under heavy guard. Speaker Minho stood, his ancient body trembling with either fear or rage. "What have you done?" he demanded. "What have you awakened?" "We don't know," Captain Tae-hyun said honestly. "We had no idea there was anything at the galactic core. Our long-range sensors can't penetrate that region. Whatever is there, it's responding to our engines, not to anything we deliberately did." Dr. Yuna stepped forward, her scientific mind already working on the problem. "The quantum signature is similar to our technology, but much more powerful. If I had to guess, I'd say it's ancient, possibly a precursor civilization's technology." "Precursor?" Ambassador Soman asked. "You mean the star parents from our old myths?" "I don't know your myths," Yuna admitted. "But if your legends mention advanced beings from before your civilizations arose, then yes, possibly." Oracle Keeper Sujin rose from her seat. The Etherian was rarely heard in council proceedings, preferring to maintain historical records rather than participate in politics. But now her mystical presence commanded attention. The ancient texts speak of the star parents who seeded life across the galaxy before vanishing into the darkness. We always believed these were religious metaphors, not literal history. "Religious metaphors don't send quantum signals," Engineer Minsu said bluntly. Speaker Minho looked between the humans and the data displays, showing the mysterious signal. Hyunwoo could see the old leader's worldview crumbling. Everything the coalition believed about history, about physics, about their place in the universe was suddenly in question. "We need to investigate," Captain Tae-hyun said. "Whatever is at the galactic core responded to our presence. It might have answers about our origins, about your origins, about the connection between our peoples." "There is no connection," Speaker Minho said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Then why did it activate when we arrived?" Yuna asked gently. "Why now after 10,000 years of silence?" Ambassador Soman spoke carefully. "If we send an expedition to investigate, it could be dangerous. The galactic core is forbidden for good reason. The gravitational forces alone could destroy any ship. The Wanderer can handle it," Minsu said confidently. "Our quantum drives are designed for extreme spatial conditions." "Of course you'd say that," Intelligence Director Ji-hoon snapped. "This could be your plan all along. Draw us into a trap." Ji-won stood suddenly. "Enough, I'm military, not scientific. I don't understand quantum physics or ancient signals. But I understand tactics. If humans wanted to trap us, they've had dozens of opportunities already. They're outnumbered, surrounded, and vulnerable. This isn't an attack. It's a mystery, and the only way to solve it is investigation, not accusation." The council chamber fell silent. Finally, Speaker Minho spoke. "Very well. We will authorize an expedition to the galactic core. Captain Tae-hyun, you and your ship will lead, accompanied by coalition representatives. If this is a deception, you will be destroyed. If it's genuine, you may finally prove your existence beyond doubt." Captain Tae-hyun bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Speaker. We won't disappoint you." As the council session ended, Hyunwoo approached the human captain. "I want to volunteer for the expedition." "Dae too, if he's willing." Tae-hyun smiled tiredly. "You've already risked everything for us, Research Director." "Are you sure?" "I'm a scientist," Hyunwoo said simply. "This is the biggest mystery in galactic history. I wouldn't miss it for anything." Somewhere in the depths of space, an ancient signal pulsed with patient rhythm, waiting for its lost children to come home. The journey to the galactic core took 12 days, and every hour increased the tension aboard the Wanderer. The ship now carried a mixed crew, humans and coalition members working side by side, united by curiosity but divided by suspicion. Hyunwoo spent most of his time in the science lab with Dr. Yuna, analyzing the mysterious signal. Day assisted them, his young enthusiasm helping to bridge the cultural gap. Jiwan and Commander Bora represented coalition military interests. Bora was a veteran Threxian warrior who had fought in the border wars and trusted no one. She kept her hand near her weapon at all times and watched the human crew with undisguised suspicion. Oracle Keeper Sujin spent her time in meditation, preparing spiritually for whatever they might discover. The elderly Etherian claimed her people's ancient texts contained prophecies about this moment, though she refused to share details until they reached their destination. Captain Tae-hyun commanded the ship with quiet competence, earning grudging respect even from Bora. Engineer Minsu kept the quantum drives running smoothly, while teaching coalition engineers tricks they had never imagined. Diplomat Hana worked tirelessly to maintain peace among the increasingly anxious crew. As they approached the galactic core, the gravitational forces increased dramatically. Space itself warped and twisted in ways that made navigation nearly impossible. Coalition ships would have been torn apart hours ago, but the Wanderer's quantum drives adapted to the changing conditions with ease. "How does your ship survive this?" Hyunwoo asked Yuna as another gravitational wave passed harmlessly around them. "Quantum field manipulation," Yuna explained. "We don't fight against spatial distortions. We move with them, adjusting our field harmonics thousands of times per second. It's like surfing instead of swimming." "Surfing?" Hyunwoo didn't recognize the term. Yuna smiled. "An old human sport. Maybe I'll teach you someday." The signal grew stronger as they traveled deeper. Its rhythm was hypnotic, a pulse that seemed almost alive. Then suddenly it changed. The regular pattern shifted to something more complex, almost like language. "It knows we're here," Day whispered. Captain Tae-hyun's voice came over the ship's communication system. "All hands, we've reached the coordinates. Prepare for visual confirmation." On the view screen, space seemed to open like a flower. At the center of impossible gravitational forces protected by fields of energy that shouldn't exist, floated a structure so massive it made the Wanderer look like an insect. "What in the void is that?" Bora breathed. The structure was ancient beyond measure. Its surface was covered in symbols similar to those on the Wanderer's hull. Thousands of docking ports lined its exterior, each one sized for ships much larger than anything the Coalition had ever built. And at its heart, a light pulsed with the same rhythm as the quantum signal. "It's a space station," Yuna said quietly, "but not like any we've encountered. This is precursor technology. This is what came before." As the Wanderer approached, the massive station activated. Lights flickered on across its surface. Docking bays opened, and a communication signal, clear and strong, filled every channel. "Welcome home, children of Earth." The message was in Coalition standard language, but underneath it, like a whisper, came another version in a language that made Hyunwoo's translator struggle. Captain Tae-hyun gripped his chair armrests. "That's ancient Korean, a language that died out on Earth thousands of years ago." The station guided them to a specific docking port. As the Wanderer connected, everyone felt a subtle shift, as if the station itself was examining them, judging them, welcoming them. The expedition team gathered at the airlock. Captain Tae-hyun, Dr. Yuna, Engineer Minsu, and Diplomat Hana represented humanity. Hyunwoo, Dae, Jiwan, Commander Bora, and Oracle Keeper Sujin represented the Coalition. The airlock opened onto a corridor that defied physics. It was impossibly long, yet they crossed it in moments. The walls were covered in holographic displays showing star charts, genetic sequences, and mathematical formulas. Everything pointed toward a single destination, a vast chamber at the station's heart. When they entered the chamber, holographic figures materialized. They looked human, but different, taller, with features that seemed to blend elements from dozens of species. One of the figures stepped forward. "Welcome," it said. "I am an archive custodian, a fragment of consciousness left by those who came before. You seek answers about your origins. I will provide them." The hologram gestured and images filled the chamber, a civilization spanning the entire galaxy. Ships that could cross impossible distances, technology that made even the Wanderer seem primitive, and at the center of it all, a species that looked remarkably human. 50,000 years ago, the custodian explained, the precursor civilization reached the peak of its development. We had conquered disease, extended life, and spread across every habitable world. We called ourselves many names in many languages, but in one of our oldest tongues, we were the pioneers. The images shifted to show catastrophe. a darkness spreading across the galaxy, consuming everything it touched. Then came the enemy. Autonomous war machines created by a rival civilization that destroyed its own creators and continued to spread. We fought for 10,000 years, but the enemy was relentless. More images, desperate battles, dying worlds, evacuation ships fleeing into the darkness. We realized we could not win. So we made a choice. We seeded life across the galaxy using our genetic templates, creating the foundation for new civilizations. We hoped that when the enemy finally fell dormant, these new species would inherit the stars. Yunwu felt his world shifting. You created us. The coalition species? We provided the template, the custodian said. But evolution did the rest. Each species developed uniquely, adapting to their worlds. Some lost the ability to use quantum technology, developing neural interfacing instead. This was not a failure, it was adaptation. And humans? Captain Taehyun asked, his voice strained. Your ancestors fled to the galactic rim beyond the reach of the enemy. There, isolated by dark matter nebulae, they survived. But the isolation was harsh. Your people lost much of their technology, nearly destroyed themselves several times, and climbed back to the stars through determination and ingenuity. Dr. Yuna's eyes were wet. We're not newcomers. We're the oldest children coming home. Yes, the custodian said gently, and you've arrived at a critical time. The enemy is waking. Our systems have detected movement in dark space. The war machines that we thought were dormant forever are activating again. They are drawn to technological signatures, to quantum engines, to the very things that make you human. Commander Bora stepped forward, her military training overcoming her shock. How many? What's their strength? Thousands of units, possibly more. They will attack indiscriminately, seeking to eliminate all biological life. Your coalition's neural gate technology partially masks your signatures, but humanity's quantum drives shine like beacons. The enemy will target you first, then spread to consume the entire galaxy. Can we fight them? Captain Taehyun asked. You must, the custodian said, but not separately. Only together. Combining human quantum technology with coalition numbers and resources, do you have a chance? We left weapons here, plans, strategies. Everything we learned in 10,000 years of war. Oracle Keeper Sujin spoke for the first time. The prophecy spoke of the Star Parent's return, bringing either salvation or destruction. Now I understand. You didn't return, your children did. And they must choose whether to unite or perish separately. The chamber fell silent as everyone absorbed this revelation. Hyunwoo looked at the humans, then at his coalition companions. 50,000 years of history. Countless civilizations rising from precursor templates. And now the ultimate test. Could the children of the pioneers work together, or would ancient divisions doom them all? We need to get this information back to the council, Ji-won said practically. They need to know everything. They won't believe it, Dae said. Half the council still thinks humans are fake. Captain Taehyun smiled grimly. Then we'll show them. The station has data cores. We'll bring back evidence that even Speaker Minho can't deny. As the team began downloading the precursor archives, alarms suddenly blared. Minsu ran to a console. We've got problems. Multiple coalition ships just dropped out of FTL outside the station. It's a military fleet. They're powering weapons. Commander Bora checked her communicator. It's Speaker Minho. He sent forces to destroy the station and everyone on it. He considers this entire situation a threat to coalition stability. Captain Taehyun's jaw tightened. How long do we have? Minutes, Minsu said. Maybe less. The race for survival had begun. The Wanderer undocked from the ancient station in record time, but Speaker Minho's fleet had already formed a blockade. 12 coalition warships surrounded the precursor station, their weapons charged and ready. Through the view screen, Hyunwoo could see the massive flagship where Minho commanded his forces. Coalition fleet, this is Captain Taehyun of the Wanderer, the human captain transmitted. We have critical information about a threat to the entire galaxy. Request permission to return to Coalition Central peacefully. Speaker Minho's ancient face appeared on the screen, twisted with rage and fear. Captain Taehyun, if that is even your real name, you have violated sacred space and awakened forbidden technology. This cannot be allowed to continue. Power down your vessel immediately or be destroyed. Speaker Minho, listen to me, Hyunwoo interrupted, broadcasting from the science station. The precursor station has revealed the truth about our origins. Humans and coalition species share common ancestors. We're all descended from lies, Minho roared. More deceptions designed to undermine coalition unity. I will not allow these creatures to poison our civilization with their fantasies. Commander Bora stepped forward, her voice hard. Speaker Minho, this is Commander Bora. I have witnessed the station's archives firsthand. The humans are telling the truth. We need to bring this information back to the full council. You've been compromised, Commander, Minho said coldly. All of you have. The human contamination has spread too far. Fortunately, I have the authority to quarantine this threat permanently. The coalition ship's weapons powered up to full charge. Minsu's hands flew across the engineering console. Captain, we can jump to Quantum Drive, but we'll be leaving the station undefended. Minho's fleet will destroy it and all the knowledge inside. Captain Taehyun's face was grim. We can't let that happen. That station contains information that could save the galaxy. He turned to Jiwon. Can you contact any coalition forces that might help us? Jiwon shook her head. Minho has consolidated his power. Most military commanders follow his orders without question. Then Day's console lit up. Sir, I'm detecting new energy signatures. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL, it's... He paused, checking the readings. It's Ambassador Soman's diplomatic fleet. 20 ships. They're positioning between us and Minho's forces. The view screen split to show Ambassador Soman's face. The Pelvorian looked tired but determined. Speaker Minho, I'm invoking Council Protocol 7. The use of military force against diplomatic expeditions requires majority council approval. You don't have it. This isn't a diplomatic situation, Minho snarled. This is an existential threat. Then let the council decide, Soman replied calmly. Not you alone. While the two coalition leaders argued, Dr. Yuna worked frantically at her station. Captain, I've downloaded as much data as possible from the precursor archives. Historical records, technical specifications, and most importantly, tactical information about the enemy. If we can get this back to Coalition Central... An alarm cut her off. Every sensor on the Wanderer screamed simultaneously. Something massive was approaching from deep space. Multiple massive objects, their energy signatures dark and malevolent. What is that? Jiwon demanded. The holographic custodian's voice echoed through the ship's communication system. The enemy has arrived. They detected the station's activation. They are coming to finish what they started 50,000 years ago. On the view screen, shapes emerged from the darkness. They were ships if machines of war could be called ships. Each one was the size of a small moon, covered in weapons that had destroyed civilizations. Their hulls were black, absorbing light, radiating hatred and purpose. How many? Captain Taehyun asked. 7 primary units, Yuna reported, her voice shaking. Each one capable of destroying a planet. And they're accelerating toward us. Speaker Minho's face had gone pale. His fleet was powerful by coalition standards. But against these ancient war machines, they were insects. What are those things? The truth you refuse to believe, Hyunwoo said quietly. The enemy that destroyed the precursor civilization. They're real, and they're here because we woke up. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Ambassador Soman's voice cut through the silence. Speaker Minho, put aside our differences. We need to work together or we all die here. Minho stared at the approaching war machines. Hyunwoo could see the old leader's worldview finally, truly shattering. Everything he had believed, everything he had built his power upon was suddenly meaningless in the face of extinction. Very well, Minho said finally. All ships form defensive formation. Protect the station at all costs. Captain Taehyun nodded. Minsu, prepare quantum weapons. Yuna, transfer all tactical data to coalition ships. If we're doing this, we do it together. The battle began badly. The enemy war machines were relentless and efficient. Their weapons cut through coalition shields like paper. Within minutes, 3 coalition ships were destroyed. The rest fell back, their firepower barely scratching the ancient machine's armor. But the Wanderer was different. Its quantum weapons could actually damage the enemy. Each shot from its main cannon tore chunks from the war machine's hulls. Unfortunately, there was only 1 Wanderer and 7 enemy units. We can't win this, Minsu said, sweat pouring down his face as he rerouted power to weapons and shields. We're outgunned and outnumbered. Then we improvise, Captain Taehyun said. Yuna, can coalition ships modify their weapons to use quantum principles? Not quickly enough, Yuna replied. Then she paused. But I can modify their shield harmonics to match our quantum field. It won't let them hurt the enemy, but it will protect them from enemy weapons. Do it, Taehyun ordered. Send the specifications to all ships. Coalition engineers worked with desperate speed, adapting their shields based on Yuna's instructions. Slowly, the tide began to turn. Coalition ships could now survive enemy attacks long enough to provide support for the Wanderer's offensive strikes. Hyun-woo found himself working alongside Dae and diplomat Hana, coordinating coalition and human forces. The barriers between species fell away under the pressure of survival. They were no longer humans and coalition. They were simply people fighting for their lives. One enemy war machine fell, then another. But the cost was terrible. Half of the coalition fleet was destroyed. The Wanderer was damaged, running on emergency power. And 5 enemy units remained. Then Commander Bora did something extraordinary. She contacted Speaker Minho directly. Sir, request permission to implement Emergency Protocol 23. Minho's eyes widened. That protocol requires the sacrifice of multiple ships to create a gravitational cascade. Everyone aboard those vessels would die. I know, Bora said calmly, but it would destroy the remaining enemy units and save the station. The knowledge there is more important than our individual lives. Captain Taehyun interrupted. There's another way. The Wanderer can create a quantum field collapse that will have the same effect, but our ship needs to be at the center of the enemy formation. That's suicide, Minsu said. Not if we eject and escape pods first, Taehyun replied. The ship's AI can handle the final sequence. Hyun-woo realized what the human captain was proposing. Sacrifice the Wanderer, the only ship that could prove humanity's existence beyond doubt to save everyone else. It was the ultimate gesture of trust and cooperation. Captain, Speaker Minho said slowly, if you do this, you'll have no way to leave this system. Your ship will be destroyed. We have coalition ships, Taehyun said simply. We'll trust you to take us home. The decision was made. The Wanderer's crew evacuated to escape pods, which were picked up by coalition vessels. The ship's AI piloted the Wanderer into the heart of the enemy formation. Then, following Yuna's carefully calculated sequence, it triggered a quantum field collapse. Space itself seemed to scream. The quantum field expanded, then contracted violently, crushing the enemy war machines into microscopic particles. The blast wave spread outward, but the coalition ships, protected by their modified shields, survived. When the light faded, the enemy was gone. The ancient station remained intact, and the Wanderer was nothing but scattered debris. Commander Bora's ship picked up Captain Taehyun's escape pod. As he came aboard, she saluted him, a gesture of respect reserved for the highest heroes. Captain, on behalf of the coalition, thank you. Taehyun smiled tiredly. We did it together, Commander. That's what matters. 3 months later, Hyun-woo stood in the council chamber again. But everything had changed. The chamber had been expanded to accommodate a new delegation, official representatives from Earth and the human colonies. Captain Taehyun, now promoted to Admiral, led the human contingent. Speaker Minho rose to speak. The ancient leader looked older, humbled by recent events. For 50,000 years we believed we knew the galaxy. We were wrong. Today the coalition reforms as the Greater Union, a partnership of all species including our long-lost cousins from Earth. He paused. Admiral Taehyun, welcome home. The council erupted in applause. Not everyone was happy. Some species still harbored doubts, but the majority accepted the truth. Humanity was real. Humanity was family. And humanity had proven their worth through sacrifice and courage. After the ceremony, Hyun-woo found Admiral Taehyun on an observation deck, staring at the stars. Congratulations, Admiral. You've changed the galaxy. Taehyun shook his head.